If Kashyap Pramod Vinod Patel is confirmed by the Senate as the next FBI director, he will be the first Indian-American FBI director. He will be the first FBI director with a beard. But he will have two things in common with every FBI director before him. He is a man, and he is a Republican. Every single director of the FBI has been a Republican, every one of them. J. Edgar Hoover created the FBI and corrupted the FBI in his 36-year reign as FBI director. Hoover's FBI did some good work, but J. Edgar Hoover himself engaged in some of the worst things ever done by an American law enforcement agency. He loved using illegal wiretaps, especially against the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who he put under illegal surveillance for just no reason whatsoever, no legal reason whatsoever, wiretapped his phone calls, and tried to harass Dr. King into committing suicide. Presidents feared what J. Edgar Hoover might try to do to them or their allies. J. Edgar Hoover's legacy is a stain on American law enforcement, but still, his name adorns the FBI headquarters building in Washington, D.C. L. Patrick Gray, who served as acting FBI director, served for 1 year of Richard Nixon's criminal activity as president, got ensnared in that criminal activity himself and left the office of FBI director as acting FBI director in disgrace before Richard Nixon was forced to leave the presidency in disgrace. After the Nixon criminal scandals that involved the FBI, Congress took action to depoliticize the job of FBI director by giving the FBI director a 10-year term. That meant that some presidents might not ever get to appoint an FBI director, and some didn't. It was inconceivable in the aftermath of the Nixon scandals that a president would fire an FBI director for the offense of investigating that president, which is exactly what Donald Trump did when he fired James Comey as FBI director in 2017, thereby becoming the first president in history to fire an FBI director in the middle of a 10-year term. President Jimmy Carter was the first president to appoint an FBI director to a 10-year term, and of course, he chose a Republican, William Webster. And I say of course, because in those days, the way for a president to prove that a job was above politics was to give that job to someone from the other party. And so no one was surprised by Jimmy Carter's choice of Republican William Webster. But when it came time for Republican presidents to appoint FBI directors, they too chose Republican FBI directors. Bill Clinton was the next Democratic president after Jimmy Carter to appoint an FBI director, and he chose Republican Louis Freeh. Next, George W. Bush chose Robert Mueller, Republican Robert Mueller, to serve a full 10-year term. And then President Obama asked Republican Robert Mueller to extend his service in the FBI beyond the 10 years, which actually required an act of Congress to allow Robert Mueller to serve beyond the 10-year limit. Robert Mueller served 12 years as FBI director, and then President Obama chose to replace him with Republican James Comey to serve as FBI director. And James Comey served 3 years, 247 days before Donald Trump fired him and replaced him with Republican Christopher Wray. President Biden never considered tampering with Chris Wray's 10-year term as FBI director, which was scheduled to end in August of 2027. During this transition period, Donald Trump decided to do something that no president has ever considered doing, which was select someone as the next FBI director and send that person around to Senate offices to meet with senators to discuss being confirmed for a job that was not vacant or available. The president has the legal right to fire an FBI director for cause. That cause has to be put in writing. The cause that Donald Trump actually used as his reason for firing FBI Director Comey was the way James Comey handled an investigation of Hillary Clinton. The world knew that that was a lie. The world knew Donald Trump loved the way James Comey investigated Hillary Clinton and made huge news about that investigation in the weeks and days leading up to the 2016 presidential election. Today, FBI Director Christopher Wray, who was appointed by Donald Trump 7.5 years ago, announced in a worldwide meeting with FBI agents that he would make it easy for Donald Trump. Christopher Wray decided to save Donald Trump from having to put another lie in writing about why he was firing another FBI director. The FBI released a full transcript of what Christopher Wray said, and the FBI released just a partial video of some of what the director said. Director Wray told the FBI today, quote, "I want to address a topic that's been the subject of a lot of speculation, and that's my future as FBI director. Since the moment I started in this job 7+ years ago, my focus has been on trying to do what I think is best for our institution, for the Bureau, and ultimately for the American people we serve, and what sets us up best for success, not just today, but in the long run." And then Director Wray said this.
After weeks of careful thought, I've decided the right thing for the Bureau is for me to serve until the end of the current administration in January and then step down. My goal is to keep the focus on our mission, on the indispensable work each of you is doing every single day. And in my view, this is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray while reinforcing the values and principles that are so important in how we do our work. Now, it should go without saying, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyways. This is not easy for me. I love this place. I love our mission, and I love our people. But my focus is, and always has been, on us and on doing what's right for the FBI.
Christopher Wray also told his FBI audience, quote, "It was important to me that you all got to hear about my decision directly from me before it gets announced publicly." Director Wray praised the 38,000 people working at the FBI around the world and specified some of the horrors that FBI intelligence work has prevented. Quote, "Every day I've been in this role, my deep admiration and respect for all of you has grown more and more. I've seen up close the sacrifices you make each and every day to fulfill our mission and keep our fellow citizens safe. I've seen you turn in absolutely heroic acts of bravery over and over again to help people you've never met. And I've seen you show up for each other with compassion and support when your FBI family members need you most. And you've kept watch against the ever-present threat of terrorism, thwarting attacks on a busy pier in San Francisco, a crowded hospital outside Kansas City during COVID, a 4th of July parade in downtown Cleveland, to name just a few, and just 2 months ago, disrupting a mass casualty plot in Oklahoma City set for Election Day. Donald Trump's choice to lead the FBI wants to eliminate the intelligence division of the FBI that stopped every one of those terrorist plots.
The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state.
He, of course, won't dare say any of those words in his Senate confirmation hearing. But that was just months ago. For decades, law enforcement agencies around the world have looked to the FBI for guidance, assistance, and training. The FBI director said today, "It's all of us working together that have made the FBI the premier law enforcement and intelligence agency in the world. The people, our partners, are vying to send their officers and deputies to train with, the people businesses call when their networks have been compromised or their operations have been taken offline, the people the American people turn to when their child is in danger." the world is not going to turn to Kash Patel. Director Wray did not directly address the lies told about him and the FBI by Donald Trump, the man who appointed him, but he did say this, quote, "We're on the American people's side, the Constitution's side, and no matter what's happening out there, in here, we've got to stay committed to doing our work the right way every time with rigor and integrity. That means following the facts wherever they lead, no matter who likes it or doesn't, because there's always someone who doesn't like it. It means conducting investigations without fear or favor. And it means not pursuing investigations when the predication is not there." Now, let me be clear, we're accountable to the American people and we welcome the tough questions. But in terms of how we do the work, we've got to maintain our independence and objectivity, staying above partisanship and politics. That is something Kash Patel could never say. Kash Patel has promised to not stay above partisanship and politics. Christopher Wray closed his remarks to the FBI today this way. "Remember that you chose and earned this job. You chose and earned the privilege of serving your country. The FBI needs you. The American people need you. So thank you for making that choice. Thank you for earning that privilege."